And we're live again. Sorry that took too long, if anybody was actually still watching. The I was trying to figure out why that last cast wasn't saved automatically to my Twitch account. I don't know if it's still like, buffering or uploading or whatever, but I wasn't able to find it there, so hopefully this one doesn't give me any trouble either, and hopefully that last cast actually wasn't lost to the ghost of cyberspace. Um, That last game was in case it was lost, was a very good demonstration by Gonzi of the SC, the MVP SC constant marine attack style. It's basically where on one or two bases, usually two bases, you power up your barracks production and basically swarm your opponent with marines, and you just keep that attack going until they eventually die. But Fuzzy, our Grandmaster Zerg player, was able to hold that very, very well and eventually build his economy up to a point where he was just able to roll through Gonzi's consecutive attacks, and eventually Gonzi had to leave. So that was a good demonstration of that. I don't know what we have next. I am at this point. I'm trying to decide uh, what I want to do with. At this point, I want to decide what I want to do with this next replay. This looks interesting. Okay, so this game is going to be off of Lasshadow's replay pack. Like I've said already, Lastshadow is a foreign player that is playing in Korea, and he's been doing very, very well against Code S and Code A quality players. And I have a bunch of games from here, but I haven't actually had much opportunity to see this IMYongHwa that Artosis uh, very known for hyping, and we all know whenever Artosis hypes somebody, how they usually end up being a little bit less than he was hyping them up to be. But he has been hyping Yonghwa for a long time, so I think I'm going to go with this game because I have never actually seen Yonghwa play. And this is on a map I'm not too crazy about, but I think I can get over that if this game is actually the quality that I want. So, here we go. We have spawning in the top right of the map Korhal compound. We have Korean characters here that I can't read, but the description on this game from Lastshadow is that this is Incredible Miracles Yonghwa. And in the bottom left, we have the Blue Terran player, the American or Canadian, I'm not sure which, player playing in Korea right now, doing very well in his stream against Code S and Code A players. We have Lastshadow. He's on his alt account. Okay, so this is Korhal compound. I am not thrilled about this map in either matchup in PvT. I think that this map has a lot of terrain features that I don't think both sides like. The middle is actually the middle. All right, you see how these watchtowers are here on the high ground, and the army can approach from the low ground? That kind of gives this map a little bit of a defender's advantage for anybody that's walking through it. Colossus, of course, can perch up on the high ground and are very good at killing bio units as they come forward. And obviously, you can also park Vikings up here. If your opponent is going up this ramp, for example, you can park Vikings up on the high ground and you can take care of them. The third base for both players suffers from the same problem of being down here on the low ground, and again, both Terran and Protoss have numerous ways for them to take advantage of this cliff in attacking the low ground expansion, be it Psionic Storm, siege tanks if you want to go that route, Banshees, all sorts of different things. It's actually very good for helping to defend drop play too. So, like I said, I'm not really too thrilled about this map in either direction for this matchup, but we'll see what these two players have in mind and how they're going to accommodate for the map's features in this matchup. We have a gas down and a cybernetics core already for the Protoss, and we already have a gas down for the Terran player, so it doesn't look like either one of them is going to be going for a super fast expand. That's relatively normal because the rush distances on this map are very short in comparison to a lot of other maps that are currently in the ladder map pool. So a 2 racks pressure or a type of like 6 gate timing attack would be a lot more powerful on this map than it might be on others. So both players seem to be opting for a little bit of a safer route before going for their expansions. We have a Stalker on the way, and actually, it doesn't actually look like Lastshadow is interested in doing an expansion play at all. I have a factory going down here. We still only have 1 gas, so I'm not exactly sure what he has in mind for this factory play. He could be going for some kind of Reactor Hellion play. He is going for Reactor Hellion play, but I don't think he scouted what his opponent is up to. Oh, he has. He's just now scouting that his opponent has not taken that expansion, so I don't know what he's actually going to be doing with these Hellions. The Reactor Hellion play is not that great for dealing with what our Protoss opponent is doing. It's usually only really good for punishing very, very early fast expands because you really need sentries for the most part to hold off Hellions, because Hellions can, of course, just micro around Stalkers all day. So he is actually going to land his factory on that reactor because he has it lifted already, and I'm really eager to see what he's going to be doing with those Hellions. There was a game recently between Marine King and White Raw where Marine King was able to use a very heavy Hellion build to pretty much kill White Raw outright, but he also went for that very fast expand. He did like kind of a weird forge expand where he actually walled off slightly with that forge, but IMYongHwa is going for a 3-gate. He has his 3 warp gates down. Stalkers and gateway units in general are very good at dealing with Hellions. I think that Lastshadow is going to be in some trouble here. He's dropping down his command center, but he's not going to be able to really do much with just a single bunker against a 3-gate attack. We do have the Stalker coming in here. It is not being microed. That Stalker is going to go down to that bunker. That was a very sloppy play by IMYongHwa. He is trying. Our Lastshadow is trying to drop an engineering bay to wall off, and IMYongHwa is not paying attention to these gateway units. He lost a Zealot and a Stalker for absolutely nothing. He was paying attention to these Hellions in his base. Did those Hellions actually manage to kill anything? No, they managed to kill 1 probe, but I think that was a scouting probe that was killed earlier by Marines. So neither player has been able to do very much in the way of damage to each other. We have Marines out on the map. They are going to be going back into that bunker. Lastshadow is holding this attack a little bit better than I thought he was going to, but I don't actually think it's really more of his play. I think that IMYongHwa is just not really controlling his army very well. We do have Marauders out on the map. That is going to help a lot in helping to defend this attack, but that is a lot of Stalkers that are out on the map right now. We have 2 bunkers down now. We have a Marauder in one and and 2 Marines in another with a lot of SCVs here to repair. That's going to be difficult to break with just Stalkers. We have an expansion going down for IMYongHwa following all of this, but his opponent already does have this expansion down, so he's still a little bit ahead. He does have to do some damage with this attack, or at least keep these SCVs from mining for a long time. We have a sentry down here. They are going to help to block that repair attempt, but he's still going to be able to get SCVs around there. IMYongHwa needs to back up. He backs up. This is another Stalker in the process. What IMYongHwa really needs to do is not commit too much more into this attack. He needs to just park himself outside, keep these SCVs here, keep them from mining, and establish his own base. We have a Twilight Council coming down here. I'm not sure if this is for Dark Templar or if this is for Blink. It looks like it might be Blink. It could be Blink or Dark Templar at this point. He knows that he sniped his opponent's attempt to build an engineering bay, and he pretty much scout that he doesn't have turrets out on the map, but he does of course have 2 orbitals, so that will allow him to scan for DTs. We have 2 more Hellions coming in here. They will be getting a few probes this time. 1 probe goes down. Is he going to be able to get any more? It looks like he might be able to get more probes. Another probe goes down. Another probe goes down. He's been able to kill a lot of probes with these Hellions, and he's actually denied a lot of mining time, and he was actually able to kill a lot of probes. That was a very good Hellion run by. Those were only 2 Hellions, and you know, at this point, I'm not impressed. IMYongHwa is going for a 3-gate pressure, but he's not actually controlling his units very well. We have we have an SCV lead for our Terran player, but he does have mules, so that is a bigger advantage than it would be if this was just straight workers. We have a lot of bunkers going down for our Terran player with a third command center on the way, but he's still only making Marines at this point, and he is temporarily supply blocked at the moment. We have a tech lab down here on this factory. Is he going to be making siege tanks with that? And it does look like IMYongHwa is actually going to be going for that Dark Templar play, but with the Terran walled off, I don't really know what he's going to be able to do with that. He is, of course, going to be able to use the Dark Templar to prevent his Terran opponent from moving out on the map, because you can very easily dodge scans out in the middle of the map with your Dark Templar by kind of forcing them in one by one, and it really kind of puts the Terran in a situation where he doesn't really want to advance very further because he's worried about taking casualties from those Dark Templar. So is he going to be using these Dark Templar offensively, or is he just going to be using them to pretty much take control of the map? We'll have to see. We have a starport now going down too. This is basically like a very, very late 1-1-1 following an expansion. So this is a really weird game right now. We have siege tanks, a lot of bio units in these bunkers. I don't really know where these two players are going to proceed from here. Both of them are being very defensive right now. Lastshadow obviously has reason to, considering his opponent was being very aggressive early on, but IMYongHwa is also being very defensive right now. He is dropping 2 additional gateways, so we have 5 gates down on the map right now with a Dark Shrine. I don't know what he's going to be doing with that Dark Shrine. He is actually trying to get through the front door with this Dark Templar, but I don't really know if that's going to really do much of anything. But he is actually picked a really good time for this. There are no scans available, but he will have a scan almost. Now he has enough energy for his scan. And that Dark Templar is actually going to be able to get away. No, he just barely doesn't get away. That secondary siege tank there was actually able to deny him. We have 2 more Dark Templar out in the field, and a Raven is being produced right now. So when this Raven comes out, he will be able to shut down this Dark Templar play completely. He does have another scan available. These Dark Templar are not actually going to be able to get into the base. But there is, of course, a third Dark Templar that's out on the map. Does he have any more scans left? He doesn't have enough scans. He doesn't have any energy for a scan at the moment, but this energy will be up to 50 in just a few seconds. So I don't actually think this Dark Templar has actually been able to get into the map. He is taking a third base behind this, and like I said already, normally when Dark Templar are out on the field, it really makes Terran very hesitant to move out on the map, but when the Raven comes out, that hesitation goes away. We have a second factory down now too with the reactors, so this actually looks kind of like mech. This is like a weird like biomech unit composition. We don't have any upgrades out on the field yet, so the typical disadvantages that come with mech are not actually present at the moment because IMYongHwa is not really going for any upgrades. He is, of course, going for Colossus. Those Colossus are going to be very useful for taking care of any sort of mech composition our opponent can go with, but he is making a Banshee. If he makes any more of those might be able to be Lasshadow's answer to those Colossus. We have a command center that is going to be floating over to the 5th base of our Protoss opponent. So if he doesn't scout this actually could be a very big problem because that base is actually very exposed otherwise. At the 3rd base for IMYongHwa going down here at the moment. This is in a pretty much a safer position than our Terran's expansion is going to be in. But our Terran, of course, does have siege tanks, and like I said at the very beginning of this cast, the high ground advantage for this 3rd base allows our Terran player to pummel this 3rd base if he's able to set up here without any sort of retaliation from our Protoss player on the low ground. His army is, of course, over in the middle of the map. He does have Colossus. Those Zealots do have charge, but he has no upgrades. He's going to be needing to get upgrades on those gateway units if he wants to deal with this very siege tank heavy composition. We have Cloaking and Thermal Lance going down, and we do have 2 Stargates coming down too. Where are those Stargates? Here they are. We have 2 Stargates going down for our Protoss player as well, so this is a very interesting unit composition out of both of these players. I don't actually know how much our Protoss player does know about our Terran player. He does have this observer in his base. I wasn't even able to see that before. This observer does see that he has multiple factories out on the field, so that would explain why he would be going for Protoss air units, because Protoss air units are very, very effective at dealing with mech, along with a lot of other things that the Protoss has. But our Terran player is moving out at 160 supply. Our Protoss is only at 143. He does have 4 Banshees in that army and a Raven, so he will be able to snipe observers if he micros his Marines correctly. And without observers, those Banshees, when they get cloaking, and they will be getting cloaking shortly, will be able to do a lot of damage to this Protoss army. So here we go. The Banshees are moving out. He needs to get those snipers to take care of those Banshees. He does not want to lose with those Colossus. Those Colossus are very, very vital in dealing with the bio units that are in this army. This is a crazy unit composition from our Terran player. We have Hellions in there, SCVs in there, Marauders, Marines, Banshees, and a Raven. This is a very scary army from our Terran player, but this is really all going to come down to the positioning that our player is able to do. He is setting up a hard contain on his Protoss opponent. We have Void Rays that are in there too, but we do not have observers there, so he cannot actually see those Banshees. Those Banshees are cloaked. There are no observers out on the map. Where are his observers? Those cloaked Banshees are doing a lot of damage to his army. Where are his observers? He is cloning out one right now, but he has no observers and no photon cannons. He has nothing to deal with those Banshees right now. Those Banshees still have plenty of energy left. They can take care of all those Colossus in the amount of time it takes for that observer to get out on the map. So he's just going to go for it. He's going to go straight into that siege tank line, but those are a lot of siege tanks. He is warping in additional gateway units out on the low ground. Those Void Rays are doing a lot of damage. Those Zealots are doing a lot of damage to that army, but those Banshees are just now being able to get seen because they're running out of energy for their cloaking fields. And it looks like our Protoss player will hold this attack. Those Void Rays were the real heroes of this one. They were able to take down those Banshees very, very quickly, as well as do a lot of damage to those siege tanks when they were able to fire. But that Colossus does have 11 kills too. So Lasshadow's plan in all of that was that he was going to use the Banshees to take care of the Colossus, but he wasn't actually able to kill all of them. We have a Hellion run by that is in the 3rd base. He will be able to kill a lot of probes. This base is fully saturated, and the main base is almost mined out, so he can't afford to lose too many probes over at his natural expansion. These Void Rays are going to unfortunately scout the expansion for our Terran player. They will of course deny that because Void Rays are very, very good at killing buildings. The expansion will go down, but will it go down before that our Terran player can get there? It does. So Lasshadow's in a very, very difficult position. He is only on 2 bases. Main base is almost mined out. His opponent is on 3 bases with all the tech necessary for him to take care of the unit composition that Lastshadow is going for. He is just now starting his upgrades. If he's able to get those upgrades out, those mech units are not going to be very cost effective at all against those Protoss ground units. So, we have 155 supply to 105. Our Protoss player is a very heavy supply lead, and he has a lot of Void Rays in that army. There are no Vikings out on the field. The only thing our Terran player has to take care of that are those Marines, and those Marines do not have stim or combat shields, and there are no medevacs out. He is making Vikings now, though, so he does recognize the threat that those Void Rays do pose. Those Void Rays are going to be going into the main base. They are going to get this reactor that is going to shut down double Viking production, and he cannot afford to, he can't move those Void Rays in there. He has to move them back. This is a good stutter step micro from our Protoss player. He doesn't want to lose those Void Rays, but he wants to deal damage too. But this is not a good place for the Terran to engage. It's not a good place for him to engage at all. That Protoss army is going to rip right through his army. Point defense run do go down, and it looks like that will do it. That was a really, really crazy game from both of those players, and this unit composition that IMYongHwa went for is actually perfect for dealing with the biomech unit composition of our Terran player. Alright, so what went wrong? What went wrong for Lastshadow? He had a very, very big army that was attacking into the natural expansion here. I think the biggest problem in all of that was that he was really using those Banshees to knock down the Colossus, but they just weren't able to do enough damage to bring them down quickly enough. Banshees do a lot of DPS, but against Colossus, Vikings are really a better choice. And he wasn't actually focus firing the Colossus for all that long while he was in there. The other thing that I think really hurt him was the lack of infantry upgrades. If you're going for a biomech unit composition, it's still a really good idea to get infantry upgrades on those Marines, because Marines are still a huge part of this unit composition. You need the Marines to take care of the Zealots. The Hellions didn't have Blue Flame. Really the biggest damage dealers that were in that army against those Zealots were the Marines. Siege tanks don't kill Marines very quickly. You need you need those those attack upgrades for those Marines. You need stim, you need combat shields. If you're going to be going for a biomech unit composition, you still are very heavily reliant on those Marines as a primary damage dealer against those Zealots. But that was still great play from YongHwa. I'm sorry that I said that I wasn't impressed earlier. This unit composition he went for later is actually very, very good against what our Terran player was doing, and he did use those Dark Templar for the purpose that he wanted. He kept Lastshadow in his base for a long time, preventing him from moving out when our Protoss player was at his most vulnerable. So that was a good cerebral play from our Protoss player, and that was an interesting game. One of the more interesting TvPs I've seen on this map. So thanks for watching, and I'm glad I got to cast that.